In this video, we're going to be looking at the different data types that is supported by Objective-C. Data types are actually very important for you to understand because you're going to be declaring a lot of variables. So it is important to understand why we need different data types. So as you can see here, I have actually declared 4 different types of variables. So the first one is an int, then we have a char, float, and double. We have many more, but these are the most common one that you'll be using in your program. So let's actually look at what are these different data types supported by Objective-C. So the first one is the int data type. So this int, which basically stands for integer, is used to store positive and negative whole numbers. For example, if you want to store the number of tires in a car, so which is 4, so 4 is a whole number. I mean, a car is not going to have like 4.2 or 4.3 tires on it. So so if you want to declare a whole number, then you would need to use an integer. And for example, you want to store the number of students. Maybe you have 4,000 students. You're not going to have 4,000.1 or 0.2 students. So anytime you need a whole number, which ranges from negative to positive, then you have to use an integer. The next one is a char, which stands for character. So it's used to store a single character such as a letter, numeric digit, punctuation marks, let's correct that, punctuation marks, or empty space character. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the empty space characters in future videos, so don't worry about what that means for now. And so this is how you declare it. You say char game. For example, if you want to keep your eyes on the level in a game, so maybe you want the user to be able to go from level A to level Z. So that means you use each character of the alphabet each time. So you use to set the level of the game at that point. For example, you also need like a semicolon. So do you want to store a semicolon in your program? Then you can store that one as a char as well, because as a semicolon cannot be stored as an int, and this is the importance of understanding why you need different data types, because you can't store a single character inside an integer. So the next one we'll be looking at is the float data type. So float basically is used to store floating point values, which are numbers with decimal places. So for example, if you want to store the room temperature, maybe the room temperature is going to be 28.5. Anytime you have a decimal place, then you use the keyword float to use a float variable, float data type to store it. So but you have to pay attention that every time you want to use a float, you have to write the number, then put f in front of it. Otherwise, it's going to convert it to the next data type, which is the double data type. So double data type is used to store large numbers with decimal places. So basically, double is twice as big as float. It's the same as float, but it can store twice the size as a float. That's why it's called a double. All floating point values are usually stored as double unless you follow the number with an F. So if you don't put an F, it will store it as usually you just declare as a double. But you have to understand one thing, which is very important. The data type that you declare will have an impact on the memory. So because I'm still going to touch more on this, I just don't want to overwhelm you with different data types because we have more. So that is why I'm actually making it very easy right now, because if you declare a double, it will keep twice the size in memory as a float. And remember, the memory is very scarce in the application, so we have to conserve it. So this is why it's important for us to choose the right data type to store our application. Even if this doesn't make sense to you now, don't worry about it. It's okay. You get to understand the reason why you have to choose the best data type for your program as you progress along writing codes. So the bool data type, which is the last one, is used to undo a true or false condition. For example, you want to check if the weight of a person is over 60 kg before you execute a code in your program. Then you can use a bool, say bool. If it's true, it equals to 0, something like that. If you go to this website right here, you'll be able to see the different types of different data types in Objective-C and what they support. So back to Xcode, as you can see now, I've declared number of students, and this is how this is the best practice of actually writing out your variable name. So as you can see now, it makes sense to someone reading my codes that I'm actually trying to store the number of students in this integer variable. I didn't say int x or int y, which you can do, but it won't make sense to you in the long run when you're reading your code. You have to make sure that your variable names are very easy to understand. So int number of students equals to 40, char game level equals to a, float the room temperature is equals to 25.4 F, and double the currency value is 34.65. If this doesn't make sense to you while we're doing it, it's okay. I mean, if you watch 2-3 more videos, you actually understand why you need to do this. So, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.